Welcome back to Staying Fervent. I'm Tracy. Well, I encourage you to stay fervent in God. Thank you so much for tuning in today and staying fervent with me. Well, today I have an encouraging word that you are in good company. I began to think about some of the giants in the faith who went through major things, major turmoil. And during the time that they were going through what they were going through, they didn't know what God had on the other side of it. But yet and still, as they went through, they remained faithful to God. So let that be an encouraging word today, to stay faithful to God no matter what you're going through. In the book of Genesis, we find the story of Joseph, who was sold off by his brothers because they hated him, sold off as a slave in Egypt. He went through many years of turmoil, but regardless of what he went through, he kept his faith in God. And the scripture says God was with him. Everything that he went through, and every place he found himself in, and whoever was against him or lied on him, scripture says that God was still with him. So in that, we learn that God is a sustaining God. That means as saints, when we're righteous in him and we go through trouble for his sake, because we're living righteous, that God sustains us and he keeps us. In 1 Kings, we learn about King David, who was chased down by King Saul for doing nothing, just being a mighty man of valor, for just being a mighty man of war. And Saul was so afraid that David was going to take over the kingdom and become the king, that he chased him out of Israel and tried to kill him over and over again. An innocent man running for his life who had done nothing wrong. And for over a decade, he ran from King Saul so that he would not be killed. And many times during those years, David had the opportunity to annihilate King Saul, but he wouldn't touch him. Because David honored God, he remained faithful to God, even in that dark season that broke his heart. What am I saying? I'm saying that regardless of what's breaking your heart, regardless of who is breaking your heart, regardless of what you're going through, regardless of what situation it seems like you can't get out of, or situation it seems like it's out of your control, if you are a child of God, stay serving him, stay honoring God, stay loving God, just like Joseph and David did. And God promises us that he shows up for the faithful, that he shows up for the weary, that the righteous will never be left desolate. He's showing us that he's with us. In the ending story of both Joseph and David, God showed up in a huge, miraculous way with deliverance, with strength, with promotion, with healing, with wholeness. And so it is with us. When we remain faithful to God in the dark seasons, we don't walk away. We don't walk away from the faith. We don't get mixed up in what's going on in the world. We don't entangle ourselves with the darkness that's around us. We don't entangle ourselves with the enticements of the enemy. We remain focused and set on God in our ways and in our hearts. Our hearts doesn't leave God. That's when he shows up. That's when he delivers. That's when he comes through like a mighty rushing wind, bringing deliverance to our situations. So I encourage you today to not break rank, not break position, not break the relationship that you have with God. Stay in the trenches, stay praying, stay interceding, regardless of what the battle looks like. I pray you are blessed and encouraged by this message. Like the video, share it with someone else. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button so you'll be notified anytime I come on the air to give you an encouraging word. Y'all have an amazing day. Stay planted in his word, and I pray that you stay fervent.